welcome to Morning Movie News, where, boy, do I have a giveaway for you. Yes, our friends at Dolby Atmos have really outdone themselves this time with a very special Ant-Man giveaway. So first, let's discuss what's at stake. I have 2 of these packages to give away to you. Now, it includes 2 Fandango passes, but then also all of this. Let's go through it. Okay, I have the list here, and you have the photo to give you a taste of what could be yours. Get those Twitter accounts ready. You got a t-shirt, an Ant-Man t-shirt, a backpack, like one of those like little satchel backpacks, mini playing cards, because Ant-Man, a mini water bottle, a mini note cube, and a mini pen, plus a mouse pad. That is a very nice package. So how could you win this? Well, I'm going to give you an extra long time to participate. I'm going to give you through the weekend when I'm sure many of you will be seeing Ant-Man. So here's the rules. You need to tweet me at Grace Randolph, and you have to include the hashtag DolbyAtmos. And then with the rest of the characters that you have to tell me what you're looking forward to hearing in the film, courtesy of that Dolby Atmos technology. Dolby Atmos has been used to mix the Ant-Man film, the sound, the special effects, the dialogue, the music. You can pick anything that you want. So what are you excited to hear when you go and see Ant-Man? Or what did you love hearing the most when you saw Ant-Man? I want to give you that opportunity as well, which is why this is going to run through Sunday. And then the winners will be announced Monday morning, right here on Morning Movie News. So again, 2 of these packages to give away, and I will announce the 2 lucky winners on Monday. And I'll remind you that you have a couple of days left to tweet throughout the rest of the week and the weekend. All right, good luck! Now, on to today's top 3 stories. The first one actually is going to focus on a different kind of ant, and that's Marisa Tomei, who apparently is Disney, Marvel, same company, but Marvel and Sony's top pick to play Aunt May in the upcoming Spider-Man reboot. Now, I don't know who should be insulted here. Marisa Tomei, that they think she's old enough to play the role of Aunt May, or the character of Aunt May, and that they're not really being true to the character. What do I mean by that? Now, I think Marisa Tomei is a wonderful actress. Obviously, she's an Oscar winner, and she's very good at comedy. And of course, this is trying to be a more comedic Spider-Man movie, as we're hearing. I think the Andrew Garfield movies were pretty funny. I thought Andrew Garfield was very good with Spider-Man's banter, but considering that they hired someone who used to work with The Onion, and the route they seem to be going and saying, they want it to be like a John Hughes movie, I can see wanting to go with maybe why they're picking Marisa Tomei. But I think it's really important to highlight that Aunt May is older. She's an older woman, she and Uncle Ben, and that's one of the reasons that it's so exemplary that they take Peter Parker in, that they take a child in to raise at that stage of their lives. I think that it's another way of showing, the importance of responsibility, which of course is something that becomes very essential to Peter Parker's life, and something that he learns from Uncle Ben. So I think that anyone at any age can obviously teach responsibility, but I don't like the idea of like, an older actress wouldn't be cool, wouldn't be relatable. It's like, hey, use this opportunity to break down the stereotypes of what people in their 70s and above are like. Now, you might be thinking, well, who would they cast? Well, I think someone obviously wonderful would be Helen Mirren, but Helen Mirren's a bit of a badass and wants to be in the Fast and Furious movies, and I don't think she'd really be interested in playing Aunt May. But that doesn't mean there aren't other candidates, and I've come up with 3. Now, Sally Field, when she played Aunt May in the Andrew Garfield films, she was in her mid-60s at the time. But I think, Aunt May is supposed to be older, so I found some actresses in their 70s. Now, for instance, Julie Andrews is around 79. I think she has a really, she's taken care of people before, Sound of Music, Mary Poppins. She's pretty much a professional caregiver at this point. And I think she's a delight. She's beloved by many. And I think this would be a great way to bring her into the MCU. And, Marvel's always looking to bring in, really top names, at least in supporting roles. So why not do that with the Aunt May character? You could also go with Jane Fonda, who's 77 or around that. Jane Fonda's tough. She has made a bit of a comeback in the last few years. She of course had her career derailed by political statements that she made during the Vietnam War, and never really totally, I think, got it back. So I don't know if maybe some people might still remember that, and she might be a little bit problematic for the franchise. but she's certainly a name actress. But then, this is my choice for Aunt May, a little zing, and that's Lily Tomlin, who's actually in a series right now on Netflix with Jane Fonda. But Lily Tomlin's around 75. I think she's very funny. I think she's really no nonsense. And I think she'd be a great person to guide Peter Parker through life. And, that's a way to put a little bit of a different spin on Aunt May, not making her so passive and naive, as she's often portrayed in the comics, but still being faithful to the other elements of Aunt May. So that's what I would do, and I'm curious, what do you think? Do you think Marisa Tomei makes a good Aunt May? It rhymes. They're like, it's a sign from above, we have to cast her. Or do you think that, they should go with an older actress? Do you agree with me on that? And do you like any of the choices that I put forward? All right, now on to the second story of the day. Yesterday I posted a very long shot-by-shot reaction to the Batman v Superman first full trailer from Comic-Con. And it took a really long time to do. And, totally worth it, especially when I got so many wonderful comments in response. So thank you guys. I know it's like sometimes you don't remember to leave a comment, and that's fine, just as long as you enjoy the episode. But it does make a difference. When I saw a few people who said, oh, I don't usually comment, but I really wanted to thank you for this episode in particular. That just means so much, because that episode took about, I'd say, 6 hours, 7 hours from beginning to end, not including the filming of it, which I did the day before, but just the editing and the rendering and the posting time, because it was so long, 40 minutes, that's how long it took. And it took so long to render, the reason I bring this up, that I had time to watch Justice League Gods and Monsters on iTunes. That movie's about 77 minutes, so, stopping and starting, and so I didn't watch it all the way through at once, but I did watch it, and I wanted to review it today, because I actually was pleasantly surprised. I had seen one of you actually had mentioned that you watched it, and I was like, oh, it's available, and it only is available if you digitally purchase it. If you want like a hard copy, you have to wait till the end of the month still. But I saw some people rating it, and there were very mixed reactions to it, especially from people who saw it just at Comic-Con recently. So I was like, okay, let me check this out. And again, I have the time, it's something fun to watch, and True Detective this season just isn't particularly compelling. So there's only so many things that are available for me to watch on my computer. So I have to say, I really liked it. I thought it was actually pretty well done. Bruce Timm is a Warner Brothers DC animation god for a reason, although some feel he's a monster by some of the reviews that I saw. And it is more violent than one would usually expect this kind of work, although the last few animated films from DC have been particularly violent. But what made me okay with the violence here is that I felt it was earned, and I felt it was organic, and I thought that it was there to raise the stakes, but it wasn't put in there to be, salacious. So I really appreciated that. And I also like the changes that were made. So let me just first talk about the overall film. I really liked the story. I really think story is important. So often Hollywood's like, oh, I don't know how this movie's going to turn out. And you're like, if it was a good script, you know how it would turn out. You'd be like, wow, if we film this, it'll be great, because this is an amazing starting point. But so often that's not the case in Hollywood, unfortunately. But I thought the story was very good, and for something that was only 77 minutes long, it felt like I got a lot of story for my money. And it wasn't cheap, by the way. You could buy it on Amazon, but I got it on iTunes. I bought the standard definition for $5 less. I was like, I'm watching this on my computer. I don't need high def. But I like that, and also there were many twists in the film that I actually didn't see coming, which I always appreciate that, because that means that the writers and the creative team thought outside the box, and they didn't use the standard tropes and tricks of Hollywood, because that's how you can often see things coming. You're like, how many times has this been done before? I also like the changing of the characters, and that's one of the reasons I also wanted to watch it, because I've had a few people say, oh, you don't like Suicide Squad because you just want to see what you had in mind. You're not open to new ideas. And I was like, is that true? I don't think it's true. So I was like, this will be a test. And sure enough, I think when the effort is made, and I think that you have like some touchstone, and you're not just all over the place making choices for the sake of what's cool or what you want to do, but you're being, you're putting the story first, that's your top priority, and the viewers, then I'm totally fine with it. And by the way, I could be totally fine with Suicide Squad. I wouldn't count that out just yet. I'm just surprised by some of the choices that are being made, and I'm not particularly hopeful for the ones regarding Harley Quinn. I'm also not so happy with the Joker ones that I discussed. But anyway, here, I liked the changes a lot. I thought that they were very well realized, and I thought that they did a good job. I thought only having the DC Trinity reimagined was good, because by not having too many characters to reimagine, I think in the time frame that they had, they were able to, I think, do some really interesting things with these characters. I also think it helped that the characters that were your three leads, weren't, by any means Clark Kent or Kal-El, Bruce Wayne, and Diana Prince. They were different characters who, totally different entities fulfilling those archetypes. So I thought that helped in making the changes a little bit easier to stomach and a little bit more intriguing. So, and I really love playing with the archetypes of DC, by the way. I mean, when I wrote my comic, I did the same thing. And I really like the DC Elseworld stories. I feel bad that they don't really do those anymore. But I love, for instance, Earth 1, Jeff Johns' Earth 1. That's like an Elseworlds kind of story, and it's fantastic. And that plays a lot with, the lore of Batman. So I really like that. I'm a big fan of that kind of comic book writing. And then I also thought it was interesting how dark it was. I thought that this darkness that's enveloping DC's properties is an interesting choice. I really wonder how it's going to help them in the long run. And I think I don't have a problem with darker stories and raising the stakes and, making things seem a little bit more like they mean something, like there are consequences to actions. I think that's really important because that's true in life. But I think that I think that both Kevin Feige and whoever the heck is running the DC cinematic universe have made a mistake, and that they're seeing this only in black and white. And either all cheery and happy, or I'm dark and disturbed and there's no humor. Some people were like, when I talked about a lack of humor in the Suicide Squad trailer, they were like, that, this is not supposed to be funny, that's Marvel's thing. But I think that you can have a predominant, dark or light, choice with your material, but that doesn't mean you can't have some jokes here and there, or over at Marvel, you can't have some consequences now and again. I think it would benefit both studios and both comic book movie slates to borrow a little bit from the other. There are certain characters that are supposed to be funny, and they better be funny, and there are certain things like in Civil War needs to have consequences. Civil War is just, again, another like, oh, sorry everybody, oh, wah, wah. I think people, I don't know how much longer Marvel can get away with that, as that's something that bothered a lot of people about Age of Ultron. They kind of went a little dark with Vision, and so I'm curious to see where that goes. But I think Daredevil, Marvel went dark quite successfully there. So that's what I think, and I really did like Justice League Gods and Monsters, and I really do actually recommend that you check it out. It is the first DC animated movie that I've enjoyed in quite some time. All right, now for the final story of the day, Chuck Palahniuk, the writer of Fight Club, is just going around continuing to spread this rumor that David Fincher is working on a rock opera version of Fight Club, which I think is a really interesting idea. But it gets even more interesting because apparently, according to Chuck, who of course is very self-interested here because it's his property, and I'm sure he would share in whatever monetary benefits were involved here. But David Fincher wants to do this with Trent Reznor doing the music, and I think that would be pretty sensational. And then also Julie Taymor is apparently in the mix here as well. I think Julie Taymor gets a bad rap because of what happened with Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. I think that, she took some risks there, and again, I understood the risks that she took. I also can, admit that she failed, especially with the second act of that what you created there, but I think that it came from a good place, and I think that it would be a shame to throw out everything that she added. And eventually the show kept a lot of her things that she introduced. But the first act of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark was brilliant, really good, and then it just totally fell apart in the second act. It was actually very interesting to see what someone who apparently has no affinity for comic books or experience with comic books thought of a comic book property. It was like, oh, fascinating. You kind of don't get it, but yet you've shed light on things that are really interesting that didn't occur to me. But I don't know if you've heard me tell this story, but when I was leaving the show, this little boy turned to his father and was like, what happened in the second act? I don't remember, I don't understand. And his dad was like, I don't know either. And so I thought that was hilarious. So she did fail, but I think that she at least reached for the sun. She, like Icarus. She strived for greatness. So I think she has a lot of great things to offer, and of course The Lion King was an astounding success. So I would love to see Julie Taymor, get back a little bit of her credibility and reputation by working on this. Now I do kind of wish it was an original work. I really, I don't like this constant remakes. Although the Matilda musical that's still playing on Broadway, I believe, it's really fantastic, and that's based on another work, and that's just magical. But I think they added a lot to it. But the Fight Club movie is so iconic, I don't know how much they could change, but it's a very interesting idea. And so again, I think this could go really well, but even if it's good, even if it's not good, the way Broadway works these days, I think that would be a very hot ticket, and it would get a lot of attention for David Fincher, a lot of attention for Trent Reznor, and Julie Taymor, and whoever I'm sure they could cast some pretty interesting people there. So that sounds like it's perfect for Broadway, and perfect for just basically, I think, everyone involved. So that's something that's starting to gel. We'll see if it, actually does come to fruition, but it's apparently in the works. So that's today's morning movie news. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please write down below what you think of today's top 3 stories, and don't forget to tweet me for a chance to win one of those 2 giveaway Ant-Man Ant-Mazing packages. All right, thank you so much, and you can check out some other episodes right now.